Welcome, chosen one. Let's dive in straight. They used to smirk when you walked into the room. They thought you didn't know what was going on. They mistook your silence for weakness, your patience for stupidity. But now the whispers have changed. The same mouths that once laughed are moving differently. They're not gossiping about your looks, your past, or your mistakes anymore. That's old news. The new rumor is sharper, heavier, and it's making them sweat. That one's smart. Scary smart. Don't play with them. It's not a compliment. It's a warning. And the most delicious part? They're the ones who wrote that warning themselves. You're not standing in a dream. You're standing in the aftermath of a quiet war. The energy in the room when you show up has shifted. People hesitate before speaking. They watch their own words like they're handling glass. They're replaying every conversation they ever had with you, checking for what you might have caught. It's not paranoia, it's survival. Because deep down, they know you were never slow, never gullible, never clueless. You were simply paying attention while they buried themselves with their own noise. According to neuroscience, highly intuitive minds, like yours, process information faster and deeper than the average brain. Especially when it comes to reading people. It's not some party trick. It's a biological advantage backed by lived experience. While they were busy talking, you were learning patterns, connecting dots, and memorizing the fine print of their character. They can't undo that now. They can't erase what you've seen. And that terrifies them more than anything you could ever say out loud. Chosen ones, if this is resonating with you, if you're feeling that shift inside your own life, hit that like button and subscribe. That simple act strengthens this message, pushes it further, and reminds the world that our quiet strength has a collective voice. Thank you for standing here with me in this space. We're not just telling stories, we're exposing realities. And now, back to the truth they don't want you to know. Their strategies aren't working anymore. The smear campaigns, the subtle digs, the fake smiles, all of it is collapsing because you outgrew their entire game. You didn't just outthink them, you out-evolved them. You rose above the petty traps they set, and now they're the ones scrambling for cover. They're whispering your name with fear, respect, and regret. They're telling each other not to test you because you're a different kind of intelligent, the kind that sees through walls and behind masks. Look at your own history for proof. Remember the times you kept quiet when they wanted a reaction? Remember the setups you sidestepped because something in you just knew? Those weren't coincidences. That was your inner radar working, the same radar that's now making you a walking plot twist in their story. And now you've become the cautionary tale, the quiet one who turned out to be the smartest person in the room. That's why the air feels different around you now, heavier, more respectful, more careful. That's why they're checking their phones after you leave, deleting old messages, trying to cover tracks that can't be covered. You're living proof that patience is a weapon, that silence is a strategy, and that intelligence, when combined with self-control, is unstoppable. You didn't get this far by accident. You got here because the universe equipped you with exactly what you needed, a mind that can't be tricked and a spirit that can't be bought. Stay locked in, because what's coming next isn't just another pep talk, it's a revelation, the real reason why you've become their nightmare and their inspiration at the same time. The old games are over, the whispers are out. And now the world is learning the hard way. Don't mess with the one who was quiet, watching, and thinking the whole time. And now, chosen one, this is where it gets real. You've just heard the whispers, you've felt the shift. But what's coming next isn't just more talk. It's a breakdown of why your intelligence has turned you into a quiet storm that nobody saw coming. This isn't fluff or theory. This is the map of how you went from being underestimated to being untouchable, and why people are now whispering warnings about you instead of spreading rumors. If you're still here, reading these words, that's no accident. That's your inner compass pulling you to stay. So before we break this open step by step, do something powerful to lock yourself in. Drop the number 777 in the comments if you're ready to stand fully in your intelligence and claim the respect that's already yours. That one little act tells the universe you're not hiding anymore. You're stepping up, and you're part of a movement bigger than just your story. Because this next part, it's for the ones who've been quiet, patient, and underestimated. Stay with me till the end, because if you're truly a chosen one, you're about to see exactly why they say, "Don't mess with you." Let's begin. Number 1. They hate what they can't teach. The kind of intelligence that can't be bought, borrowed, or broken. They don't fear your degrees. They fear your accuracy. They don't resent your books. They resent your results, because nothing scares a manipulator more than someone who sees through their disguise before they even speak. They can't stand the way you just know. It's not rehearsed. It's not borrowed from some TED Talk or a best-selling self-help manual. You didn't sit at their tables, study under their gurus, or recite their sacred scripts. Yet you grasp in seconds what takes them years to fake. That's not normal intelligence by their standards. That's threat-level brilliance. They call it weird, different, too much, because saying terrifying out loud would expose how rattled they really are. Let's make one thing clear. You didn't sneak your way into their ivory towers to learn this. You were born with it, right out of the gate. While they were memorizing the lines, you were reading the room. While they were polishing their masks, you were seeing the cracks form beneath the paint. And that's why their gossip is getting darker. When they whisper, "That one's too smart," it's not a compliment. It's code for, "We can't control them." And chosen one, that's exactly what makes this moment so powerful. Because every time you opened your mouth and their faces tightened, every time you asked a question that made the whole room pause, you were proving a truth they've tried to bury. That intelligence doesn't belong to the system. It doesn't belong to the pedigree, the club, the network, or the algorithm. It belongs to the one who can see through the performance and call things what they are, even when it's uncomfortable. They're confused because their playbook says that brilliance should look a certain way. Prestigious schools, prestigious mentors, prestigious vocabulary. But you're living proof that the real threat isn't a resume. It's perception. It's a quiet kind of genius that can smell a lie before it's spoken. It's the way your eyes shift when someone's story doesn't add up, or how you can predict the next move without a spreadsheet. You didn't learn this in a classroom. You earned it through survival, observation, and pattern recognition. That's a curriculum they can't sell, and a degree they can't stamp. And here's what really stings them. Your intelligence is not just about knowing facts. It's about knowing them. It's about watching their hands, listening to their tone, memorizing their inconsistencies. They hate that you don't just analyze situations, you discern intentions. You don't just read words, you read energies. That's not book smart. That's battle smart. That's intuition sharpened by years of being underestimated, mocked, and overlooked. And now, that same instinct is your crown. You can almost hear them asking the question under their breath, how do they do it? The answer, chosen one, is that you're not doing anything new. You're remembering. This isn't a trick. This is memory older than their rules. You've been watching long enough to see the loops repeat, and now you can predict the ending before the first act is over. That's what terrifies them. Not your vocabulary, but your vision. Not your test scores, but your timing. Think about the times you warned people before something went wrong. Think about the moments you pulled back from a deal, a friendship, a situation, because something in you said no before you could explain why. That wasn't paranoia. That was precision. And when the fallout happened exactly like you said it would, they labeled you lucky. No, lucky is stumbling into safety. What you have is insight. And insight, uncoached and unpurchased, is a nightmare for people who build their power on deception. They wanted you to be slow, distracted, chasing trends, quoting gurus like everyone else. Instead, you became a mirror they can't stand to look into. Your intelligence reflects their tricks back to them. It exposes their shortcuts, their plagiarism, their borrowed personalities. It strips the glamour off their hustle and shows the bare wires underneath. That's why they whisper behind closed doors, because out loud they can still pretend, but in the dark they know you're the one who can't be fooled. And let's address the elephant in the room. Some of you reading this have been told your whole life that you're too quiet, too intense, too much in your head. They said you'd fall behind because you weren't loud enough, aggressive enough, eager enough to please. But here's the plot twist they never saw coming. While they were rushing, you were absorbing. While they were bragging, you were calculating. While they were laughing at you, you were cataloging every move, every slip, every signal. Now the scoreboard is flipped, and the same mouths that mocked you are warning others not to underestimate you. They laughed at your silence until your silence started laughing back. That's the line they'll never admit, but can feel in their bones. You've become the embodiment of every underestimated soul's revenge, not through rage, but through results. You didn't need their approval. You built your own credibility, one accurate observation at a time. And now your intelligence isn't just a trait, it's a shield. It's what keeps you safe from manipulation, from fake friendships, from empty opportunities. They might tell each other you're too smart for your own good, but what they're really saying is too smart for our good. They wanted you teachable in the wrong way, easy to shape, easy to trick, easy to discard. Instead, you became untouchable. And that's why the gossip is growing sharper, because every story they tell about you ends with the same warning. Don't mess with that one. This is your motivation, chosen one. Not to get arrogant, but to get anchored. To understand that your intelligence, the kind that can't be taught or tamed, is exactly what you need for the path ahead. It's proof that you don't have to beg for seats at tables built to control you. You are the table, and the ones who once mocked you will either adapt or they'll get out of the way. Remember, intelligence is not just IQ. It's insight, it's endurance, it's the quiet courage to trust your own observations even when everyone calls you crazy. It's the patience to wait for the reveal and the wisdom to act when the mask finally drops. That's why you're dangerous in the best way possible, and that's why they're not just whispering about you now, they're warning each other. So when you hear the gossip, don't flinch. When they call you too smart, smile, because buried inside that insult is a confession. We can't beat you. And the sooner you realize that, the sooner you'll stop shrinking to fit their comfort zone. Stand tall in your intelligence. It was never taught. It was forged. And forged things don't break. They cut. Number 2. You're the trap they can't spring, outsmarting manipulation without lifting a finger. They don't hate your kindness. They hate that they can't exploit it anymore. They don't despise your silence. They despise the fact that it's no longer blind. They're cautious now. They don't greet you the way they used to. The fake warmth has a tremor in it. The jokes land flat because you don't play along. The old traps, guilt, gaslighting, passive aggression, aren't just failing, they're backfiring. That's not an accident. That's evolution. You've outgrown manipulation so quietly, so completely, that people only realize it when their tricks stop working. And the scariest part for them, you're not even trying. You see it, process it, and move accordingly without needing to expose them out loud. Imagine this. A chess player sets up an elaborate opening, convinced you'll take the bait. But you don't even sit at their board. You're standing over it, seeing the whole game from above. That's you now. Their gambits look obvious from your vantage point, and every time they reach for a move, you're already 3 steps ahead. That level of mental clarity makes manipulators sweat, because chaos is their playground and you've refused to play. Manipulation thrives on reaction. Starve it of your chaos and it dies in silence. You've flipped the script without announcing it. They were dealing with the old version of you, the one who second-guessed your instincts, over-explained yourself, gave everyone the benefit of the doubt, even when your gut screamed otherwise. That person is gone. Now you read between the lines, watch the micro-expressions, feel the energy behind the words. You catch contradictions mid-conversation, and even when you stay silent, your eyes say, "I know exactly what you're doing." That silent knowing unsettles people more than a confrontation ever could. Some of you are thinking right now, but do I really outsmart manipulation? Or am I just paranoid? No, you're not paranoid. You're precise. The difference is in the results. Paranoia isolates you in fear. Precision isolates you from traps. Look at the outcomes. How many setups you've sidestepped. How many toxic cycles you've escaped. How many coincidences you predicted before they happened. That's not fear. That's discernment, sharpened by experience. You're not overthinking, you're seeing the pattern. Imagine a magician trying to wow an audience with sleight of hand. The trick only works if nobody watches the offhand, but you're watching both hands. You're watching the whole stage. That's why their illusions look clumsy now. They're still using the same props, but the spell is broken. They hate that you no longer give them the performance they need to feel powerful. They wanted your chaos. You gave them clarity. They wanted your reaction. You gave them silence. They wanted your tears. You gave them a mirror. That's why the gossip has changed. It's no longer "they're so sensitive" or "they don't say much." It's "don't mess with them. They'll see right through you." And they're right. You've developed a kind of intelligence that isn't about being the loudest or the most decorated. It's discernment, street smarts mixed with soul radar. When someone tries to manipulate you, they get hit with both at once, and it leaves them speechless. They don't know whether to adjust or retreat because every move feels exposed. This is also why your reactions are so different now. You no longer give people the chaos they want. You respond instead of react. Manipulators thrive on confusion, drama, and emotional impulsiveness. But you give them clarity, detachment, and logic. Imagine a pickpocket reaching for your pocket only to find your hand already there, holding their wrist. That's the vibe. It throws their whole game off. Some of you are wondering, but if I don't call them out, am I letting them win? No. Your silence isn't surrender, it's strategy. You've learned that exposing someone too early just gives them time to twist the narrative. So you stay quiet, adjust your moves, and let the truth reveal itself. That's not weakness. That's warfare without wasted ammo. And it terrifies them because manipulators only know how to fight in noise. They don't know how to fight a mind that doesn't flinch. True power doesn't shout. It waits, and waiting is what breaks their grip. Remember the last time someone tried to bait you into an argument, hoping to see you crack? Think about how you simply didn't give them what they wanted. No yelling, no tears, no messy aftermath, just a calm, measured decision. That wasn't luck. That was you applying everything you've learned. You're no longer the easy mark. You're the mental fortress they can't infiltrate. Imagine a predator setting a trap in the forest, only to discover the prey has wings now. That's you. You didn't just learn to dodge traps, you learned to rise above them. Your growth isn't just horizontal, it's vertical. And vertical movement terrifies manipulators because their traps are all set on the ground. They can't reach you anymore. And let's be honest, this evolution didn't come without pain. You learned by being burned. You learned by giving trust to the wrong people, by believing promises that turned to ash. Every disappointment became a data point. Every betrayal became a pattern. And now, without even thinking about it, you spot the red flags others pretend not to see. You don't need to announce it. You don't need to expose them. You just pivot, protect your peace, and let their own tactics collapse under their weight. The same silence they once mocked is now the silence they fear. That's why your name comes up in whispers and warnings, not because you're aggressive, but because you're not to be underestimated. You don't fall for nonsense, and that makes you dangerous in the best way. They're telling each other, be careful with that one. You can't run the usual games, you've become their cautionary tale. And here's the beauty of it. You didn't have to harden your heart to get here. You just had to sharpen your mind. You're still kind. You're still compassionate. But your kindness has boundaries now. Your compassion has discernment. You're not cold. You're clear. And clarity is what scares them more than cruelty ever could. So if you're sitting here wondering why people treat you differently now, why the energy shifts when you enter the room, why certain friends have gone silent, this is why. They're recalibrating. They're realizing that the old scripts won't work, and they're deciding whether to step up honestly or step away quietly. That's not your problem to solve. That's your power to protect. Imagine a storm rolling through a city at night. The lights flicker, the noise dies down, and in the quiet after the storm, only the strong structures remain standing. That's you right now, standing in the aftermath of a battle you didn't even have to announce. While others scramble to rebuild their illusions, you're standing solid, clear-eyed, and unbothered. This is your moment, chosen one. Not to boast, but to breathe, to understand that outsmarting manipulation isn't about being paranoid or cynical, it's about being awake. It's about seeing what's real without letting it poison you. It's about giving clarity where others expected confusion, and that's why you're dangerous. Not because you fight dirty, but because you don't fight at all. You simply don't give them the fuel. Hold on to that. Protect that, because the same people who once played games with you are now telling others to tread carefully, not because you've become cruel, but because you've become untouchable. You're a fortress they can't breach, a game they can't rig, a mirror they can't bear to look into. And the whisper traveling through their circles now is no longer about your sensitivity, it's about your sovereignty. It's about how you became the one person who can't be played. And that, chosen one, is why you're not just surviving, you're rewriting the rules. Number 3. You move like checkmate, always 5 steps ahead without making a sound. They're not afraid of your noise, They're afraid of your silence because your silence means the plan is already in motion. What truly haunts them isn't just that you're ahead, it's that you don't announce it. You're not flexing, bragging, or parading your next move on a stage. You're moving like chess, not checkers. Every action is deliberate, every pause a calculation. They look at your calm face and mistake it for passivity, but what they're really seeing is control. And that control makes them nervous because it signals something they don't have: foresight. They used to think you were slow to react, naive even. They didn't realize you were already 10 moves into the future, watching them set their own traps while you mapped the exits. Imagine a predator setting a snare and turning around to find you already holding the map of every snare in the forest. That's you now. You didn't get this far by accident. Life drilled it into you. Every betrayal, every manipulation, every fake smile taught you to study patterns, predict behavior, and stay 3 steps ahead of chaos. Some of you might wonder, but if I'm always ahead, why don't I feel powerful? Because real power doesn't need to feel loud. It feels steady. You're not chasing adrenaline. You're moving with intention. And that's why the room shifts when you walk in. They sense the difference between a person bluffing and a person who already knows the cards. You've embarrassed a lot of people without even trying, simply by staying composed. You've shown them that loud isn't power. Loud is panic. You stay quiet because you've already solved the equation. While they obsess over the moment, you're studying the pattern. You don't just listen to what people say. You analyze why, when, and what they're hoping to extract. That's high-level awareness, and it's rare. So when they whisper, "Be careful with that one," it's not flattery. It's a warning born of experience. They're realizing now you weren't lost. You were focused. You weren't quiet because you were clueless. You were choosing which battles to ignore. And now that the results are undeniable, the game feels like it's already over before it begins. Number 4. No diploma for this. Reading lies before they're spoken. They bought their degrees. You built your instincts. And nothing terrifies a faker more than someone who can see the truth without credentials. You never needed a certificate to decode deception. You never had to sit in a lecture hall to learn how to read a room or sense when someone walked in carrying bad intentions. That knowing has been with you since birth. Raw, unpolished, but razor sharp. It's an intelligence not measured by grades, but by survival, alignment, and truth. People can't understand how you pick up on things they miss, even with their so-called education and status. That's why your presence makes them shift in their seats. They were trained to believe that intelligence has a uniform: suit, title, jargon. They expect wisdom to arrive on letterhead. But then you walk in, no performance, no need to prove, and instantly detect the smile, hiding a knife. You catch the sweet words masking sour intent. Imagine a spotlight sweeping a dark stage. Every hidden prop, every trembling hand, every falsified expression becomes visible. That's you. You don't just listen to words. You read the pauses between them. You don't just see bodies. You register the micro-movements that reveal the truth before it's spoken. Some of you may wonder, if I see so much, why does it feel heavy? Because perception is weighty. It's a gift forged through pain. You didn't ask for it. You survived into it. But now it protects you like armor. It's why manipulators' performances collapse in front of you. Their masks slip. Their energy betrays them. Their script falls apart. You're not trying to expose them. You're simply built to recognize truth. That's what unsettles them. The most powerful mind in the room isn't always in a polished package. Sometimes it's humble, silent, underestimated, until it sees through everything. While they're flaunting credentials, you're reading character. While they're quoting experts, you're watching intentions. Your intelligence isn't for display, it's for disruption. And that's why whispers of "be careful" follow you. You didn't study deception. You outgrew it. And now every room you enter becomes a test they can't pass. Number 5. Your presence is a spotlight. Systems crack just because you walk in. They built their power on shadows. You walk in like daylight, and daylight doesn't argue with the dark. It just exposes it. You don't have to shout to make the ground shift. You don't have to debate to make the masks slip. Your existence alone is disruptive because it's authentic, and authenticity is dangerous in a world built on control. The way you carry yourself, the way you think, the way you refuse to play by fake rules, it all exposes what was never real. You enter a room built on lies, favoritism, or silence, and suddenly the foundation trembles. Not because you're loud or aggressive, but because your mind is free. And freedom is poison to any system addicted to control. Imagine walking into a house where every wall is painted to look solid, but it's just cardboard propped up. The moment you step inside, the panels shift. That's what your energy does. People who've spent years protecting a lie feel naked when you're near. Whether it's a toxic family dynamic or a workplace run on favoritism, your presence becomes a living spotlight. It forces others to see what they've been pretending not to see. Some of you may think, but I'm not even confronting anyone. Why does it feel like conflict follows me? Because living in truth is confrontation. You don't laugh at what's not funny. You don't play along just to keep the peace. You question things. You set boundaries. You break scripts without a single speech. That's why those who are only powerful inside broken systems feel threatened. When you show up, the cracks start to show too. Your authenticity makes their performance look obvious. Your honesty makes their dishonesty unbearable. Your realness makes their lies unravel. You don't fit into their system because you were never designed to. You were built to confront it, shake it, and break it, simply by being exactly who you are. That's why they whisper, discredit, or twist your story. Deep down, they know your presence alone is daylight, and daylight doesn't ask permission to shine. Number 6. You play slow, but only to watch who's faking smart. They thought you were behind. They didn't realize you were setting the stage for their own exposure. You've always known how to play the long game. Not every room deserves your full display of intelligence, and you've mastered the art of holding back. You sit in silence, not because you're lost, but because you're letting others reveal themselves. While they perform, trying to sound deep and important, you're still patient, collecting data. You watch their movements, their tone, the cracks in their performance, and the whole time you're 2 layers deeper, studying not just what they say, but why they're saying it. They assumed your silence meant confusion. They thought you were slow, maybe clueless, but your quiet was never weakness. It was strategy. Imagine a hunter crouched in the grass, letting the prey feel safe, letting it move carelessly until the perfect moment comes. That's how you operate. You let them underestimate you because you know real power never needs to rush into the spotlight. And now the tables have turned. The ones who once drowned you out with noise are realizing they've been talking in circles. The ones who flaunted big words and fake wisdom are exposed when real clarity is needed. And who has it? You. Not the loud ones, not the show-offs. You, the one they once dismissed. You've proven that silence is not emptiness, it's precision. You let them show their insecurities, their pride, their hunger for validation. And when the moment calls for truth, you're the only one standing with answers that cut through the noise. That's why they're uneasy now. They finally understand. You were never fooled. You were playing slow, watching them collapse under their own performance, and you didn't even have to lift a finger. Number 7. Your vision isn't just smart, it's tuned in. They can memorize facts all day. You can sense truth before it even has words, and that's why their logic can't box you in. There's a difference between thinking clearly and seeing clearly. Most people live by logic alone. They gather data, stack facts, build conclusions from what's visible and measurable, but you operate on a different frequency. Your clarity doesn't just come from what's in your head. It flows from what you're aligned with in your spirit. That's why people don't understand how you speak on things before they unfold. You're not guessing. You're tuned in. This isn't the kind of understanding that can be taught in a classroom. It isn't memorization or analysis. It's revelation. It shows up as sudden inner knowings, strong impressions, a pull you can't ignore. Some call it intuition, some call it discernment, but you know it goes deeper. It's alignment. And once you began walking in that alignment, everything shifted. Your decisions, your timing, even the way you carry yourself. People who rely only on facts try to debate you, thinking they can corner you with logic. Imagine a chess player arguing with someone who can see the whole board from above. No argument wins that. They don't realize you're not just operating from intellect. You're speaking from a place of tuned-in clarity. That kind of knowing doesn't stutter. It doesn't bend. It simply is. You might not always be able to explain why you know what you know, but time always proves you right. People circle back, whispering, "How did you see that coming?" They don't realize your mind isn't your only tool. Your spirit is part of the equation. Your soul is aligned, and that's why your insight cuts deeper than opinions, deeper than surface-level facts. You don't chase truth. You attract it because you live in it. And when you speak, the atmosphere shifts. Not because you're trying to sound smart, but because your words are rooted in something steadier than logic. They're rooted in alignment. Number 8. You dismantled their trophy genius without even trying. They crowned their loudest voice as the smartest. You spoke once, and the crown cracked in half. Every circle has that one person who's untouchable, the smartest one, the one who talks the most, dominates the room, and walks around with an aura of automatic credibility. Everyone claps for them without thinking, nodding along as if their words are law. They're protected, praised, and placed on a pedestal because nobody ever dares to hold them accountable until you arrive. You didn't show up to compete. You weren't trying to outshine or humiliate anyone. But the moment that genius tried to test you, to speak over you, or to throw their weight around, everything shifted. You didn't argue. You didn't flex credentials. You didn't even raise your voice. You simply spoke from truth, calm, focused, and unbothered. And in that instant, the mask fell off. The cracks showed. Everyone saw how much that so-called brilliance was built on performance instead of substance. The room got quiet, and the illusion shattered. Some of you might wonder, did I embarrass them? Did I go too far? No, you didn't embarrass anyone. You revealed reality. You didn't play their game, and by not playing, you exposed it. That's what sets you apart. Your intelligence doesn't thrive on making others look small. It thrives on showing what others have ignored. That kind of presence is lethal to people who've hidden behind titles, loud voices, or fake confidence for years. Now, the gossip isn't about what you said, it's about how you said it. Calm, collected, precise. You didn't win an argument, you ended a performance. And the favorite genius they all relied on? They looked human, fallible, and suddenly very quiet. You held up a mirror, and their reflection told the truth no one wanted to say out loud. That's why your name is spreading. That's why whispers have turned into warnings. You're not the loudest. You're not trying to shine. But your mind is sharp, your spirit anchored, and your words carry weight. Now everyone knows. If you're silent in a room, you're studying. And if you choose to speak, the truth is going to land, and someone's mask is going to fall. Number 9. You don't just know, you feel what others hide. Knowledge can impress a room, but presence unmasks it. You don't memorize, you absorb. You don't argue, you reveal. You're not the type to walk into a room and bulldoze the conversation. You don't need to dominate with noise, cut people off, or force your presence through sheer volume. Some mistake your quiet for passivity, but your silence isn't emptiness. It's perception. You're not processing with just your brain. You're processing with your entire being. While others compete to show what they know, you sit still and absorb what they miss. You don't just hear words. You hear tone, energy, hesitation, the cracks between syllables. You notice the tension hiding in small talk, the heartbreak behind the practiced smile, the envy laced into a compliment. That's not something a degree can hand out. That's wiring. That's lived experience fused with something deeper. And when you finally speak, the weight is undeniable. It's not volume that cuts through. It's truth. Some of you may wonder, why do people pull away after talking to me? Because presence is exposure. You don't judge, but you reflect. You mirror back the truths they've been dodging, and that unsettles them. Not because you're wrong, but because you're too right. Your intelligence is empathy sharpened by discernment. It's not about showing off, it's about showing up. You're not a know-it-all, you're a feel-it-all, and that depth makes you impossible to fool, difficult to manipulate, and unforgettable to anyone who crosses your path. Number 10. You shatter their mental cages without making a sound. They built their minds like prisons. You show up, say one line, and the locks start clicking open. You don't need a stage, a microphone, or a dramatic speech to leave an impact. You don't need to argue, convince, or shout to be heard. Your presence alone shifts things. Sometimes it's a single question, a quiet pause, a steady gaze, and everything a person thought they knew begins to shake. That's the power you carry. It isn't forceful, but it's undeniable. You don't just talk, you disarm. And that's why people remember you long after the conversation ends. You see the loops they're stuck in, the beliefs they cling to that aren't even theirs, the cages built from fear, guilt, and repetition. And without a lecture, you cut through it. Sometimes it's a short sentence that lands like a truth bomb. Sometimes it's just your silence that makes people hear their own thoughts for the first time. Imagine someone tugging at a knot for years, thinking it's impossible to untangle, and you walk by and pull one thread. Suddenly, the whole thing unravels. That's what your presence does. Some may ask, but why does my presence unsettle people who aren't ready? Because being around you forces them to feel, think, and confront what they've been running from. You don't fix people, you unhook them. You give them the space and clarity to face themselves, and not everyone is ready for that kind of shift. That's why your name carries weight in rooms you've never even stepped into. Not because you're rude or harsh, but because you're effective. You unlock minds, you disturb illusions, you break cycles, and you do it without saying more than what is needed. That kind of influence can't be faked, learned, or bought. It's carried, and you carry it well. Number 11. You catch lies mid-sentence while they think you're still listening. They're halfway through their story when your mind has already circled the lie, boxed it in, and moved on. You don't need to wait for a speech to end to know someone's lying. Your awareness catches it almost instantly, the micro pause before a word, the forced calm in their voice, the flicker in their eyes, the nervous swallow after a joke. These are signals most people miss, but your mind registers them in real time. You don't have to interrupt. You don't have to humiliate anyone. You just file the information, keep listening, and quietly map the truth. You've trained yourself, consciously or not, to read past words. Deception has a frequency, and you feel it before the sentence is even finished. Imagine hearing a song slightly off-key. Others keep dancing, but you know exactly which note doesn't belong. That's how lies sound to you. Even your silence isn't blank. It's active, scanning, cataloging, catching every inconsistency as it appears. What really throws people off is your calm. You don't call them out immediately. You let them talk, let them believe they've gotten away with it, while inside you've already flagged what was fake, what detail was added for show, what emotion was rehearsed. You read people like blueprints. You track deception like patterns. You catch the performance while it's still happening. That's why your name travels. People who've tried lying to you warn others. Be careful what you say around them, or they'll know if you're not real. It isn't aggression, it's accuracy. You feel the shift in the room when something false enters the conversation, and once you sense it, you never forget. Your intelligence isn't just analytical, it's tuned in, deeper than logic. You don't need proof to know the truth, you just know, and that makes people think twice before they speak. Number 12. You're proving that real intelligence liberates, fake intelligence manipulates. They built their power on cleverness without conscience. You showed up and made their brilliance look like a con. You're breaking a spell people didn't even know they were under, the idea that intellect alone equals wisdom. For years, whole rooms have admired the quick talkers, the slick arguers, the ones who always have a clever retort ready. They mistook sharp minds for strong leadership, deep wisdom, and moral authority. Then you arrived. Quiet, discerning, thoughtful. You didn't just speak, you meant what you said. You didn't just know things, you lived them. And suddenly, the contrast became impossible to ignore. You've exposed what many were too afraid to see. Some of the smartest people in the room were actually the most dangerous, not because they were loud, but because they used their intelligence as a weapon, to gaslight, to twist facts, to control instead of guide. They were applauded for their brains, even while their motives were selfish. This world loves intellect, even when it comes at the cost of empathy. But you've shown another way. People may ask themselves, why does your presence feel like a challenge without you saying a word? Because you embody the proof they've been missing. You're sharp but sincere, wise without arrogance, discerning without cruelty, gifted without manipulation. Your balance doesn't just unsettle the room, it redefines what respect looks like. And now those smart bullies are unsettled. Not because you attack them, but because your existence reveals what they lack. You're intelligent, but not for control. You're intelligent with purpose. You use insight to bring clarity, not confusion, to heal, not to harm, to lead, not to dominate. That kind of purity is rare, and in toxic environments it's dangerous to the manipulators, not to you. You're living proof that real intelligence liberates. It cuts through confusion instead of creating it. It opens doors instead of closing them. It wakes people up instead of putting them to sleep. And now, those who once praised empty cleverness are starting to watch how you move. They're beginning to see the difference between being smart and being whole. And once they see it, they can't unsee it. Number 13. Your mind became a mirror, and now your name is a warning. They don't whisper your name like gossip anymore. They repeat it like a caution sign. Don't play with them. Your name no longer drifts through rooms as casual chatter. It travels like a warning label stamped in bold. People speak about you with a cocktail of fear, confusion, and quiet respect. Not because you've threatened anyone, but because you've built a reputation for being the one person who can't be fooled. You've caught lies mid-air. You've exposed manipulations without raising your voice. You've walked away from setups before the trap even closed. And every time you did, the room froze, some embarrassed, others humiliated, and all of them more cautious than before. They used to try you. They used to test you, convinced they could outtalk, outthink, or pull you into their schemes. Time after time, you saw right through it. You played along just long enough to study their moves. Then, with one quiet decision, you made their entire plan collapse. Now those same people are telling others to tread carefully around you. You're not feared for violence. You're feared for precision. Your mind isn't just sharp, it's surgical. You don't miss much, and you never forget what you see. Your presence alone shifts the atmosphere. People know that if they're not being honest, they're not safe around you. If they're hiding something, it won't stay hidden for long. If they're trying to manipulate, they'd better have a backup plan because your awareness isn't average. You don't just see what's in front of you, you see behind it. You see the motive, the pattern, the setup, the entire game. This is why the gossip has changed. It's no longer mocking, it's careful. They say things like, "Watch what you say around them," or "They're not the one to play with." They're not talking out of hate, but out of fear wrapped in respect. You're no longer a soft target. You're a silent sniper, focused, patient, and not to be underestimated. Your mind has become a mirror, and too many people have seen themselves clearly for the first time. That's why they talk. That's why your name echoes. Not as a rumor, but as a red flag for anyone still thinking they can play games in your presence. Number 14. They thought you were smart. They didn't know you were a threat. They're not scared of what you know. They're scared of what you see, because sight destroys illusions faster than words ever could. You never signed up to be a weapon. You didn't ask to be the person who rattles foundations, but the moment you woke up, you became a problem for every fake system, every manipulative circle, every agenda built on illusion. It's not just your intelligence that makes you dangerous, it's the fact that you can no longer be controlled. You don't just ask questions, you dismantle lies. You don't just think critically, you see cleanly. And in a world that rewards people for going along with whatever sounds safe, that's a threat. What unnerves them isn't your opinions, it's your vision. You don't fall for emotional bait political theater, guilt traps, or fake activism dressed up as righteousness. You decode what's not being said. You see who's benefiting, who's being silenced, and who's pulling the strings. Imagine a magician performing for a crowd while you stand backstage watching the trick from behind the curtain. That's you, the glitch in every manipulation matrix. That's why they whisper, why they avoid certain topics around you, why some even pretend to like you while panicking behind closed doors. Your discernment exposes both enemies and enablers. You call out systems many have blindly served for years. You point out toxic loyalty disguised as honor. You challenge leaders who built platforms on half-truths and ego. You disrupt generational delusion without needing a crowd to back you up. You walk alone, but your presence carries the weight of someone anchored in truth. And the part that terrifies them most? You have proof. You're not just passionate, you're precise. Not just vocal, informed. You don't just see the game. You know who wrote the rules. You move like someone who read the blueprint and decided to flip the table. And because of that, they can't recruit you. They can't guilt you. They can't buy your silence with praise, fame, or flattery. You're immune to the usual manipulation tactics. That immunity makes you uncontrollable. You're not just intelligent, you're awake. And in a world built on illusions, there is nothing more dangerous than someone who refuses to go back to sleep. They thought you were simply smart. They didn't realize you were activated. What scares them isn't your vocabulary, it's your vision. You don't just outthink people, you outsee them. You don't just break down arguments, you dismantle entire agendas quietly, accurately, permanently. Your intelligence wasn't born of privilege or titles. It was forged in betrayal, silence, and isolation that sharpened your mind and tuned your spirit. Now, you're not just a problem, you're a revelation. So let them gossip, let them warn each other, let them pretend they don't see what's happening. Meanwhile, you keep walking in truth, wisdom, and alignment, because you're not just highly intelligent, you're untouchable. And that kind of brilliance can't be taught, bought, or faked. It's earned, it's certified, and it's here to stay. And now, chosen ones, we arrive at the heart of it all. The gossip isn't just chatter anymore. It's recognition of a truth they can't bury. Your intelligence is unmatched, untamed, and impossible to control. You've become the quiet storm that shakes false systems, the mirror that exposes lies, and the presence that commands respect without asking for it. That's why they whisper warnings instead of insults. If this message spoke to your spirit, press the like button, subscribe for more, drop the number 77 in the comments, and share this with someone who needs to hear it.